Beneath Spain's wrought iron balconies and cobblestone streets lie voices. They are trapped in objects from the past. When touched, when the sun goes down, they tell their story. Be advised that this is a horror podcast with very adult themes. What are your thoughts on anger? I most often feel anger when something is unjust, when I've been attacked, or when people, or even ideas that I care about, are under attack. It can be a pretty powerful force. It gives an abused child the strength to stand up to the parent that hits them. It spurs oppressed people to take up arms and topple governments. Anger can destroy unjust systems. And that's the thing about anger. Not always, but it's mostly destructive. Sometimes, this destruction is necessary. When channeled, when targeted correctly, it can do a lot of good in the world. But when your anger is sloppy, when it lashes out in all different directions, when it takes over your mind, your very existence, when you're constantly angry, when you don't control the anger, but the anger controls you, you live inside a red bubble of rage. It makes you blind. And when you're blind, it's really easy for other people to use the power of your anger as a tool of their own. To use you as a tool of their own. This can end up hurting the very thing you want to defend. It can end up hurting you. Yo soy Samuel. Bienvenido a Spanish Sunday. Downtown Madrid, Anton Martín Senior Center, 2025. This world is fucked, and I'm gonna do something about it. You can hear the drums in the distance. They'll be here soon. Come on, let's make this quick. I put my hood on, covering my green hair. Then, I pull the sleeves down to cover the tattoo of the green hammer on my wrist. David told me to cover things that stand out, that would stick in any potential witness's memory. I push the door open and go straight to the reception desk. The gray-haired woman with her eyeglasses on a cord asks,
"Are you here to visit a family member?"
I cut to the chase. "No, I'm here to see the dungeons."
"Oh, sure. Just sign in here."
She slides a clipboard with a registration sheet in my direction.
"So let me tell you a little bit about the history of the place. The Prison of the Crown was originally..."
I recognize David's signature right above mine. It's a fake name, of course, but I know his handwriting. Good. He's already here. I scribble my own made-up name beneath his, and the receptionist hands me a key.
"So just use this key on that door over there. Oh, and watch your step. The first stair is wonky. I can't remember..."
Lady, I know the history of this place better than you do. Trust me. Because it means something to us. There's a reason why David wanted to meet here. Underground, I can taste the cool. My breath comes out in clouds. I walk down the stone corridor, making my way toward the last cell. 500 years of torture in this place. I wish I could have been here to hear it when they bashed his skull in with the hammer.
"I'm over here."
There's David, standing against the wall inside the cell. There's a narrow oval opening in the stone and brick above his head that goes out to the street. It's smaller than my fist, and it's got an iron crossbar in it, the closest thing to a window in this place. The last rays of sunshine are peeking through, casting an orange glow over the green hair on his head, like a halo. David looks like an angel, the angel of the green hammers. And speaking of hammers, he's holding one out to me. This hammer is the original, the one they used to kill Matías Vinuesa. that absolutist priest. It was right here, in this same cell. And here we are, 200 years later, to carry on their work. David speaks.
Remember, no people. Only material damages. Hit them where it hurts. Their stuff. What you're doing is important. You're making history.
I realize the importance of this moment, of what I'm about to do. Like electricity tingling through my body to the tips of my fingers and toes, surging through my muscles. My brain is sharp. I am strong. Nothing can stop me. I am focused on this one thing alone. I smile at him and answer.
Yeah, I got it.
He hands me a brown paper bag.
Here, this is for you to wear.
I take the bag as he lifts his arm up in the air and pulls his sleeve down, exposing the tattoo of a hammer on his wrist. I pull my own sleeve back to show my own hammer tattoo, then put my wrist against David's, our skin touching. We say, in unison,
Hammer the system, kill the system.
I trot up the dungeon stairs, leave the key with the receptionist at the desk,
Have a nice evening.
and walk out the door. I can hear them, just one street over. The sun is going down, and the street is dark. I think it might storm. I press myself against a wall and remove the robe from the paper bag that David gave me. It's white. It has a red fabric cross stitched onto the breast. I put it on over my clothes, then tie the rope belt around my waist. Next, I take the hood. The tip is long, pointy, and rigid. There are 2 small holes for my eyes in the baggy white fabric that covers my face. Finally, I put on the white gloves. The hammer is hooked into my rope belt. Showtime. I make my way to the crowd, the next street over. No one pays me any attention as I melt into the procession, with all the other Nazarenes dressed in white robes and pointy hoods like me. I feel like I'm still vibrating. In the semi-gloom, the Nazarenes are holding candles inside of glass lanterns to light the way. Some of them are beating drums. And behind them, the main attraction, the Virgin Mary, wearing a silk robe embroidered with gold on top of a float, drenched in jewels and precious metals, mountains of purple flowers heaped at her feet. So heavy, I can hear the pallbearers beneath her straining and groaning under the weight as they sway heavily from side to side. I pass a few journalists and video cameras. Good. I want the whole world to see this. We had tried to play nice. We organized a few protests, holding banners on the street,
Stop killing our planet.
barged into a few town hall meetings,
Politics is oppression. Politics is oppression.
and cut off traffic at the entrance to gas stations.
Gas is murder. Gas is murder.
But nothing changed. So we're gonna hit them where it hurts. Material possessions. And this, it's just the beginning. We're gonna hit every institution, every power structure that's destroying our planet. These capitalist, feudalist, fascist systems that are killing us. It makes me so angry it's all I can think about. And today, we're starting with the church. The procession stops for a moment. There's a woman on the side of the street, watching the procession. She's so close I could touch her if I wanted to. In a black dress and heels, she also has a dark lace mantilla. It's drooped over the high comb on top of her elaborate hairdo that must have taken hours to style at the salon. Just as thunder cracks in the distance, she cries out with tears in her eyes.
Guapa! Guapa!
She means the approaching Virgin. It's time. I yank the hammer from my waistband and jump toward the gold-covered float while I scream.
Hammer the system!
The people around me scream too, but no one tries to stop me. I think they're too shocked. I pull the hammer back, then cleave it as hard as I can into the float, splitting the wood. I smash and smash, shredding off chunks of wood and metal. Electricity is inside me. It's outside me. It's flowing through me. We're actually doing this. I'm killing this system. I'm swinging the hammer around my head when one of the hooded Nazarenes by my side suddenly jumps toward me. He yanks the hammer from my hand. And right at that moment, the storm begins. The lightning flashes so white-hot that I'm blinded. After the first bolt, I hear another smack, like hitting a pumpkin with a baseball bat. And the woman in the lace mantilla screams in the darkness. My eyes adjust, and I see the Nazarene who jumped at me holding the hammer. I can't see his face. It's hidden under the white pointed hood. He thrusts his arm out and grabs my own hood. He rips it off me so violently that it pulls my hair when it comes off. Then he grabs my robe and rips it from the neck to the rope belt around my waist. I'm exposed. My green hair, the hammer tattoo on my wrist. Everyone will know who I am. And then he presses the hammer back into my hand. Between the rain and the lightning, no one saw what he did. He did it so fast in just a few seconds. Why did he give me back the hammer? That's when someone yells,
She killed someone! That woman! The one with the green hair! She's a green hammer!
Wait, what? When I turn, I realize what the Nazarene has done. The woman in the lace mantilla is lying on the ground. Now, the lace is drenched in blood, hanging haphazardly from the mess of bone and flesh where her face used to be. My own face is wet too. Oh my God, is that her blood on my face? At that moment, the media cameras start flashing right in my face. I'm still brandishing the hammer, holding it up in the air, frozen. I can't make myself move. It's dripping blood. The woman's blood. And that's when the voices begin. We are the voices. I hear screaming, cracking bones, the shouting mob around me, a shouting mob inside my own mind. I try to say,
No! I didn't kill anyone. It was the other Nazarene.
where did he go? The crowd shoves me to the ground, smashing my cheek into the street. Between the people, my head crushed against the cobblestones, I see the Nazarene behind the angry mob's backs. He's running away into a dark side street. He removes his hood. He has green hair? I'm still clutching the hammer, and I can still hear the voices. I can't move. I can't breathe. This is all going wrong. I was supposed to hammer the system. I'm a part of something. I'm a part of history. I'm doing something important. The voices are painful. They have a story to tell. Royal Palace, Madrid, 1821. King Ferdinand VII stood in front of the hearth, staring at Father Matías Vinuesa.
Father Matías, tell us your plan.
It was an odd assortment of men, the flames flickering shadows across their faces. The king normally wouldn't hold council with his personal chef, Otermida, the man with the constant cough. Or the son of the first lady of the king's bedchamber, Aguilera. But this was no ordinary meeting. This was a meeting for any man loyal to the king, regardless of rank. The future of the nation depended on it. God depended on it. The priest opened his mouth and spoke.
I have a plan to overthrow the government. You will call all the ministers and all the authorities of this new unholy regime to the palace.
As he told his plan, Matías felt energy surge through his body, all the way down to the tips of his fingers and toes. His entire life had been building up to this point in time. Matías Vinuesa had fought the French as a guerrilla during the Napoleonic Wars. Then he worked his way up to become the king's favorite confessor. He was a man of the sword and of the cloth. Why this plot to overthrow the government? Because Spain was in crisis. It was partially the Americans' fault, with their sinful, humanist ideas of democracy. The Spaniards were now insisting on a constitution, on a parliament. Sure, King Ferdinand VII remained king, in name. But they took away his veto power, control over taxes, over the judicial courts, over the press, and forced him to bow to the parliament like a lame duck. He had been appointed king by birthright, and therefore by God himself. This new liberal order would never do. It wasn't Christian. The Americans were wrong. All men were not created equal. When he finished his speech, Matías felt flames of righteous rage flowing through his veins.
My favorite cry. Death to the Constitution!
The king nodded.
Very well. May it be so. We will act tomorrow.
So filled with passion was Matías that he did not notice the king's slight nod at his coughing chef. He did not notice this coughing chef slipped documents into his bag as he left the palace. He did not notice that the king was betraying him. Even when the national militia stormed his printing shop that evening,
Open up, National Militia.
the militiamen, who belonged to the secular, liberal government,
We've learned that you're involved in a plot to overthrow the legitimate government.
it never occurred to him that this could be the king's doing. His righteous anger would never allow him to even think such blasphemous thoughts. The militiamen went straight to his bag and pulled out the papers that the king's chef had planted inside.
Aha! These papers clearly state your plans. Matías Vinuesa, you're under arrest for treason.
And so, on January 21st, 1821, Matías was arrested and taken to the Cárcel de la Corona, or the prison of the crown. Once a dungeon for the king's enemies and a torture chamber for the Holy Inquisition, the prison was now under liberal control. But why would the king betray Matías Vinuesa, the man who was trying to restore him to the throne? Because he knew that holding all the ministers hostage at the palace was a stupid idea that would never work. He had his own plan, much more beautiful in its subtlety. All he needed was a martyr for his plan to work. And Matías was just that martyr. The first step in the plan was to fan the flames of outrage on both sides. The morning after his arrest, there was a blind town crier in the Puerta del Sol. A man with a cough pressed a coin into the town crier's hand and whispered a few words into his ear. The blind man nodded and shouted the message.
Will the traitor to the nation face justice? Or will he be let off easy?
His words had the desired effect. There was an intense debate in Parliament. The more moderates called for a prison sentence,
Killing him would only cause violence.
while the radicals called for the death penalty.
He's a traitor to the people who deserves to hang.
The king, of course, claimed total ignorance.
I had no idea about this plot. How terrible. Of course I'm happy to relinquish my power to the Parliament. No pushback from me, no sir.
And he was so convincing that the liberal government bought it. Back at his palace, the king spoke to his coughing chef, Otermino.
Things are going just as planned.
Meanwhile, in his cell at the prison, the liberal militiamen had their fun with Matías.
Vinuesa, you've got a letter.
When he opened it, all he saw was a picture of a gallows. Not all torture is physical.
Father Vinuesa, We wrote a song for you. Ha, Vinuesa, preach us your lies. Ha, Vinuesa, we can hear your sighs. Ha, Vinuesa, you're gonna die.
Finally, on the 4th of May, he attended his sentencing. Judge of the first instance, Juan Garcia Rias, spared him the death penalty.
I hereby sentence you to 10 years imprisonment in Africa.
Poor gullible Matías was relieved to have only been sentenced to prison. But that's because he didn't know about the next step in the king's plan: to unleash total chaos. After the trial, the blind town crier received another coin from the man with a cough. The man with a cough whispered a few instructions, then disappeared into the crowd. The town crier began to shout,
Matías Vinuesa let off easy. Traitor does not face justice. No justice in this land.
and the surrounding townspeople muttered,
Yeah, what a light sentence. He deserves to be hanged. Let's get him.
And then they began to yell and to scream.
Death to the traitor! Kill Matías Vinuesa! Death to the traitor priest! Long live the Constitution!
And that evening, the mob attacked the prison of the Crown. The liberal militiamen, the ones who had been torturing Vinuesa, were only too glad to let the mob thirsty for revenge inside. They barely faked a show of resistance, shooting their guns in the air.
Oh no, we can't let you come in here.
And then they promptly skedaddled. The mob rushed into the prison. All the cell doors had been opened and the other prisoners released, except for Matías. He had been left there like a sitting duck. One townsman had a hammer. He bashed the lock in and lunged at Matías. Matías was on his knees, crying,
Please don't
begging for his life.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please. Please.
Right before the man with the hammer cracked it into the priest's skull, Matías heard his cough. His brain seeping out, Matías only had a split second to recognize the king's chef. He didn't have time to say anything else before the man cleaved the hammer a second time. After this, the enraged townspeople jumped on him and stabbed him several times. But he was already dead. King Ferdinand VII had his martyr. The Spanish liberals, the constitutionalists, had undeniably suffered under the authoritarian reign of the king. But now, the tables had turned, and they were emboldened by this vigilante execution.
We did it! Never again will we live like slaves! Death to authority! Long live the people!
The hammer became a symbol. They wore little hammer trinkets as brooches or on their hats and watches, and stormed the homes of the absolutists. They wrote a song.
Que martillito tan bonito.
What a lovely hammer.
Que medicina sin igual.
It's medicine you can't beat. A hammer puts an end to evil when they know how to use you right. And they sang this song as they inflicted violent retribution on anyone seen as a member of the old regime. They were unaware that they were playing right into the king's hands. Now, the last step in his plan. Once again, the town crier received a coin. Once again, the man with the cough whispered words into his ear. And once again, the town crier shouted his message.
Utter chaos on the streets under the liberal government. Fear reigns under the Constitution. We want the king back.
The members of parliament debated.
Perhaps this new liberalism has gone too far. Is the Constitution truly a good idea? This is frightening. We need the king's protection.
And thus the king executed his plan. The chaos that the radical liberals unleashed with their illegal execution threw the country into turmoil. Their act of righteous rage got them precisely the opposite of what they wanted. In fact, their zeal was exactly what the king wanted. Because just 2 years later, in 1823, the liberal government had been overthrown, ending their 3-year mandate, or the trienio liberal, and King Ferdinand VII returned to the throne, this time king again for real, under a system called absolutism. This led to the década ominosa, or the ominous decade, with a brutal crackdown by a king subject to no checks and balances. He invited the French back in to crush the liberal regime, taking Spanish sovereignty for personal power. He abolished the Constitution, took over the press, and made the court system his personal plaything. This allowed him to execute hundreds of liberals, officers of the trienio liberal, and anyone else suspected of supporting the Constitution. After absolutism was reinstated, on March 27, 1824, they held a sham funeral for Matías Vinuesa, with a procession that passed beneath the palace balcony. The king gave a speech.
Matías Vinuesa was cruelly executed by the radical liberals of the oppressive government before God reinstated my power. He was a true martyr to the cause, a man worthy of...
Oh, yes. Matías was a martyr. If only they knew. Chamartín Financial District, Madrid, 2025. In a bar in a business quarter of Madrid, 2 men are seated at a table. They're in the corner, away from prying eyes, with 2 cafés con leche. The one on the left is wearing a painter's brush mustache, gelled back hair, and a pinstripe shirt. The one on the right is freshly shaven. His hair has been bleached blonde. The man with the mustache quickly slides an envelope stuffed with cash across the table.
You did good. Did you see her picture? It went viral. Brandishing a hammer, covered in blood, looking like a crazy woman into the cameras. Green hair and tattoo visible. Couldn't have staged it better if we tried. The Green Hammers are officially classified as terrorists now, so the authorities are free to take them out at their soonest convenience. And that, my friend, is good for my business.
Huh. It's good for my finances, too,
says the blonde man, sticking the envelope into his pocket. He drains his coffee cup and stands to leave. When he walks out of the bar, he catches a glimpse of his hair in the window. There's still just a hint of green around the roots, just like the green tattoo on his wrist. Hola, Samuel here. I wonder where the world would be today if Matías Vinuesa hadn't been murdered. A quick recap, because I know there were a lot of political moving parts in this story. After the War of Independence against Napoleon's France, Spain re-established a constitutional government in 1820. With a parliament and the king reduced to a symbolic role, it was the closest thing to democracy the country had seen. This period was called the trienio liberal, or the liberal triennium, because it only lasted 3 years. When Matías Vinuesa was killed by the mob, it laid the groundwork for the counter-revolution in July of 1822. This reinstated full powers for Ferdinand VII and ushered in the década ominosa, the ominous decade. This was when the king took full absolutist control and his revenge on anyone he saw as opposing his regime. Now imagine if the king had never taken power. Imagine if Spain had been 100 years ahead of the curve in constitutional representative government. Would other countries have followed suit? Would Franco have happened? Would World Wars I and II have even been possible? Did this one murder influence the entire global order we live in today? There are, of course, countless other factors at play, but it's an interesting thought experiment. And I think there's a lesson we can learn that's still applicable today. It should be said that there's no definitive proof that the king or his men were involved in the plot, but historians cite plenty of whispers and rumors. Be it as it may, the king certainly stood to gain from Vinuesa's death, and he did. Witness accounts confirm that Otermida, the king's coughing chef, the son of the lady of the king's bedchamber, Aguilera, and other men close to the monarch were among the mob. Historian Alberto Gil Novales stated the following: "The crowd that burst into the prison were closely linked to the palace. They may have sincerely been liberals and thought they were waging a revolution by killing Vinuesa, but it all appears a colossal provocation to discredit the system." In the show notes, I'm linking to the location of the prison of the Crown today. It's under the ground floor of a retirement home. Just sign in with the receptionist and they'll give you a key. You can see the actual dungeon where Vinuesa was murdered. I'm also linking to a free ebook by the famed novelist Benito Pérez Galdós. In his book, El Grande Oriente, he recounts Vinuesa's murder within the broader historical context at the time. It's a great story and excellent for learning more. Don't forget to check Instagram or Facebook for pictures I've taken myself of the prison. Just search for @SpanishSundown. I'm Samuel Mattern, and I created and produced this podcast. Special thanks to Simon Jones for the original theme music. Until night falls and the voices speak again, thank you for listening to Spanish Sundown.